Hello, guys and gals, and this is part 19 of our reading of William Goldman's The Princess Bride, a hot fairy tale. And as always, we're going to go over the copyright information, which is on the screen now, and it clearly says that The Princess Bride is copyright 1973 by William Goldman. All rights reserved, published in the United States by Ballantine Books, a division of Random House Incorporated, New York, and simultaneously in Canada by Ballantine Books of Canada, Limited, Toronto, Canada. It has the Library of Congress catalog number, the ISBN, and all the different editions. It says the cover art is by Norman Green. Now, in the last part, they got the machine done. The Prince Humperdinck was gathering together a posse to basically clean out the thieves guild, the thieves area of the city, and they had tested the machine out and it killed an African wild dog. So, anyways, the Buttercup is still holding out hope that Wesley will come and rescue her, even though she is unaware that he is in the dungeon. So anyways, we are going to continue from here. So, you are here, the prince began, because there may be another plot against my beloved. I charge each and every one of you with being her personal protector. I want the thieves' quarter empty and all the inhabitants jailed 24 hours before my wedding. Only then will I rest easy, gentlemen. I beg you, think of this mission as being an affair of the heart, and I know you will not fail. With that, he pivoted and followed by the count, hurried from the courtyard, leaving Yellen in command. The conquest of the thieves' quarter began immediately. Yellen worked long and hard at it each day, but the thieves' quarter was a mile square, and so there was much to do. Most of the criminals had been through unjust and illegal roundups before, so they offered little resistance. They knew the jails were not sold enough for all of them, so it meant a few days incarceration. What did it matter? There was, however, a second group of criminals, those who realized that capture meant, for various past performances, death, and these, without exception, resisted. And in general, Yellen, through adroit handling of the brute squad, was able to bring these bad fellows eventually under control. Still, 36 hours before the sunset wedding, there was half a dozen holdouts left in the thieves' quarters. Yellen arose at dawn and tried and confused. Not one of the captured criminals seemed to come from Gilder. He gathered the best of the brute squad and led them into the thieves' quarters for what simply had to be the final foray. Yellen went immediately to Falkbridge's alehouse, first sending all save two brutes off on various tasks, keeping a noisy one and a quiet one for his own needs. He knocked on Falkbridge's door and waited. Falkbridge was by far the most powerful man in the thieves' quarter. He seemed almost his own half of it, and there wasn't a crime of any dimension that he wasn't behind. He always avoided arrest, and everyone except Yellen thought Falkbridge must be bribing someone. Yellen knew he was bribing someone, since every month, rain or shine, Falkbridge came to Yellen's house and gave him a satchel full of money. Who? Falkbridge called from inside the alehouse. The chief of all enforcement in Florence City, accompanied by brutes, Yellen replied. Completeness was one of his virtues. Oh, Falkbridge opened the door. For a power, he was very unimposing, short and chubby. Come in. Yellen entered, leaving the two brutes in the doorway. Get ready and be quick, Yellen said. Hey, Yellen, it's me, Falkbridge, he said softly. I know I know, Yellen said softly right back. But please do me a favor. Get ready. Pretend I didn't. Pretend I did. I'll stay in the alehouse. I promise. I got enough food. No one will even know. The prince is without mercy, Yellen said. If I let you stay and I'm found out, that's it for me. I I've been paying you 20 years to stay out of jail. You're a rich man, just so I don't have to go to jail. Where's the logic of me paying you and no advantages? I'll make it up to you. I'll get I'll get you the best cell in Florence City. Don't you trust me? How can I trust a man I paid 20 years to stay out of jail when all of a sudden, the minute a little extra pressure's on, he says, go to jail. I'm not going. You, Yellen signaled to the noisy one. The brute started running forward. Put this man in the wagon immediately, Yellen said. Falkbridge was starting to explain when the noisy one clubbed him across the neck. Not so hard, Yellen cried. The noisy one picked up Falkbridge, tried dusting tried dusting his clothes. Is he alive? Yellen asked. See? I didn't I didn't know you wanted him breathing in the wagon. I thought you only wanted him in the wagon, breathing or not. So enough, Yellen interrupted, and upset and hurried out of the alehouse while the noisy one brought Falkbridge. Is that everyone then? Yellen asked as various brutes were visible leaving the Thieves Guild pulling various wagons. I think there's still the fencer and with the brandy, the noisy one began. See, they tried getting him out yesterday, but I can't be bothered with a drunk. I'm an important man. Get him out of here and do it now, both of you. Take the wagon with you and be quick. This quarter must be locked and deserted by sundown or the prince will be mad at me. And I don't like it much when the prince is mad at me. We're going to we're going, the noisy one replied, and he hurried off, letting the quiet one bring the wagon with Falkbridge inside. They tried getting this fencer yesterday, some of the standard enforcers, but it seemed he has certain sword skills that made them wary. But I think I have a trick that will work. The quiet one hurried along beside dragging the wagon. They rounded the corner and from around another corner, just up ahead, a kind of drunken mumbling was starting to get louder. I'm getting very bored, Vizzini came from out of sight. 3 months is a long time to wait, especially for a passionate Spaniard. Much louder now, and I am very passionate, Vizzini. And are you nothing but a tardy Sicilian? So if you're not here in 90 more days, I'm done with you. You hear? Done. Much softer now. I didn't mean that, Vizzini. I just love my filthy stoop. Take your time. The noisy brute slowed. That kind of talk goes on all day. Ignore it and keep the wagon out of sight. The quiet one pushed the wagon almost to the corner and stopped it. Stay with the wagon, the noisy one added, and then whispered, here comes my trick. With that, he walked alone around the corner and stared ahead at the skinny fellow sitting, clutching the brandy bottle on the stoop. Ho there, friend, the noisy one said. I'm not moving. Keep your ho there, said the brandy drinker. Hear me, though. Oh, hear me through, please. I have been sent by Prince Humperdinck himself, who is in need of entertainment. Tomorrow is our country's 500th anniversary, and the dozen greatest tumblers and fencers and entertainers are at this very moment competing. The finest pair will compete personally tomorrow for the new bride and groom. Now, as to why I'm here, yesterday some of my friends tried rousting you, and they said later that you resisted with some splendid sword work. So if you would like, I am a great personal at great personal sacrifice, will rush you to the fencing contest, where, if you are as good as I'm told, you might have yet the honor of entertaining the royal couple tomorrow. Do you think that you could win such a competition? Breezing. Then hurry while there's still time to enter. The Spaniard managed to stand. He unsheathed his sword and flashed it a few times across the morning. The noisy one took a few steps backward and said, "No time to waste. Come along now." Then the drunk started yelling, "I'm waiting for Vizzini." "Meanie." "No, not mean. I'm just following the rule." "Cruel." "Not cruel, not mean. Can't you understand? I'm..." And here his voice trailed off for a moment as he squinted. Then quietly he said, "Physique?" From behind the noisy one, the quiet one said, uh, "Who says Zeke?" Inigo took a step from his stoop, trying desperately to make his eyes focus through the brandy. "Says Zeke? Is that a joke you made?" The quiet one said, "Played." Inigo made a cry and started staggering forward. "Physique, it's you." "True." And he reached out, grabbed Inigo just before he stumbled, brought him back to an upright position. "Hold him just like that," the noisy brute said, and he moved in quickly, right arm raised, and as he had done to Folkbridge, splat. Physique dumped the noisy brute into the wagon beside Folkbridge, covered them both with a soiled blanket, then hurried back to Inigo, whom he had left leaning, propped against the building. "It's just so good to see you," Physique said then. "Oh, it is, but..." Inigo's voice was winding steadily down now. "I'm too weak for surprises," were the last sounds he got out before he fainted from fatigue and brandy and no food and bad sleep and lots of other things, none of them nutritious. Physique hoisted him up with one arm, took the wagon in the other, and hurried back to Folkbridge's house. He carried Inigo inside, placed him upstairs on Folkbridge's feather bed, then hurried away to the entrance of the thieves' quarter, dragging the wagon behind him. He made very sure that the dirty blanket covered both the victims, and outside the entrance the brute squad held a boot count of those they had removed. The total came out right, and by 11 in the morning the great walled thieves' quarters was officially empty and padlocked. Released from active duty, Physique followed the wall around to a quiet place and waited. He was alone. Walls were never any problem for him, not so long as his arms worked, and he quickly scaled this one and hurried back through the quiet streets to Folkbridge's house. He made some tea, carried it upstairs, force-fed Inigo. Within a few moments, Inigo was blinking under his own power. "It's just so good to see you," Physique said then. "Oh, it is, Inigo agreed, "and I'm sorry for fainting, but I have done nothing for 90 days but wait for Vizzini and drink brandy, and a surprise like seeing you, well, that was just too much for me on an empty stomach, but I'm fine now." "Good," Physique said. "Vizzini is dead." "He is, eh? Dead, you say, Viz..." And then he fainted again. Physique began berating himself. "Oh, you stupid. If there is a right way and a wrong way, trust you to find the dumb way. Fool. Back to the beginning was the rule." Physique really felt idiotic then, because after months of forgetting, now that he didn't need to remember anymore, he remembered. He hurried downstairs and made some tea and brought some crackers and honey and fed Inigo again. When Inigo blinked, Physique said, "Rest." "Thank you, my friend. No more fainting," and he closed his eyes and slept for an hour. Physique busied himself in Folkbridge's kitchen. He really didn't know how to prepare a proper meal, but he could heat, and he could cool, and he could sniff the good meat from the rotten, so it wasn't too great of a task to finally end up with something that once looked like roast beef and another thing that could have been a potato. The unexpected smell of hot food brought Inigo around, and he lay in bed, eating every bite Physique fed him. "I never realized I was in such terrible condition," Inigo said, chewing away. Shh, you'll be fine now, Physique said, cutting another piece of meat, putting it into Inigo's mouth. Inigo chewed it carefully down. First, you appearing so suddenly, and then on top of that, the business of Vizzini. It was just too much for me. It would have been. It would have. Oh, sorry. It would have been too much for anybody. Just rest. Physique began to cut another piece of meat. I feel such a baby, so helpless, Inigo said, taking the next bite, chewing away. You'll be as strong as ever by sundown, Physique promised, getting the next piece of meat ready. The six-fingered man is named Count Rugen, and he's here right now in Florence City. Interesting, Inigo managed this time before he fainted again. Physique stood over the still figure. Well, it is so good to see you, he said, and it's been such a long time, and I've just got so much news. Inigo only lay there. Physique hurried to Physique's tub and plugged it up, and after a lot of work, he got it filled with steaming water, and then he dunked Inigo in, holding him down with one hand, holding Inigo's mouth shut with the other. And when the brandy began to sweat through the Spaniard's body, Physique emptied the tub and filled it again with icy water this time. And back he plunged Inigo, and when the water began to warm a bit, he filled the tub with steaming stuff, and back went Inigo, and now the brandy was really oozing off from his pores. And that was how it went, hour after hour, hot to icy cold to steaming hot, and then some tea, and then some toast, and then some steaming hot again, and more icy cold, and then a nap, and then more toast, and less tea, but the longest steamer yet, and this time there wasn't much brandy left inside, and one final icy cold, and then a 2-hour sleep until by mid-afternoon they sat downstairs in Falkbridge's kitchen, and now at last, for the first time in 90 days, Inigo's eyes were almost bright. His hands did shake, but not all that noticeably, and perhaps the Inigo of before the brandy would have bested this fellow now in 60 minutes of solid fencing, but not too many other masters in the world would have survived for 5. Tell me briefly now, while I've been here with the brandy, where have you been? You have been where? Well, I spent some time in a fishing village, and then I wandered a bit, and then a few weeks ago I found myself in Gilder, and the talk there was of the coming wedding and perhaps a coming war, and I remembered Buttercup when I carried her up the cliffs of insanity. She was so pretty and soft, and I had never been so near perfume before, that I thought it might be nice to see her wedding celebration, so I came here. But my money was gone, and then they were forming a brute squad and needed giants, and I went to apply, and they beat me with clubs to see if I was strong enough. And when the clubs broke, they decided I was. I've been a brute first class all this past week. It's very good pay. Inigo nodded. All right again. And this time, please be brief from the beginning. The man in black, did he get by you? Yes. Fairly too. Strength against strength. I was too slow and out of practice. Then it was he that killed Vizzini. That is my belief. Did he use his sword or his strength? Physique tried to remember. There weren't any sword wounds, and Vizzini didn't seem broken. There were just these 2 goblets, and Vizzini dead. Poison is my guess. Why would Vizzini take poison? Physique hadn't the least idea, but he was definitely dead. Physique was positive. Inigo began to pace the kitchen, his movements quick and sharp, the way his movements were before. All right, Vizzini is dead. Enough of that. Tell me, briefly, where the six-fingered Rugen is, so I may kill him. That may not be so easy, Inigo, because the Count is with the Prince, and the Prince is in his castle, and he has pledged not to leave leave it till after his wedding, for he fears another sneak attack from Gilder, and all the entrances but the main one are sealed for safety, and the main doors are guarded by 20 men. Inigo said, pacing faster now. If you fought 5 and I fenced 5, that would mean 10 gone, which would be bad because that would also mean 10 left, and they would kill us. But, and now he picked up his pace even more. If you should take 6 and I took 8, that would mean 14 beaten, which would not be as bad, but still bad enough since the 6 remaining would kill us. And then he whirled on Physique. How many could you handle at the most? Well, some of them are from the brute squad, so I don't think more than 8. Leaving me 12, which is not impossible, but not the best way to spend your first evening after 3 months on brandy. And suddenly Inigo's body sagged, and in his eyes, bright a moment ago, now there was moisture. What has happened? Physique cried. Oh, my friend, I need Vizzini. I am not a planner. I follow. Tell me what to do, and no man alive does it better. But my mind is just like fine wine. It travels badly. I go from thought to thought, but not with logic, and I forget things, and help me, Physique. What am I to do? Physique wanted to cry now, too. I'm the stupidest fellow that was ever born. You know that. I couldn't remember to come back here, even after you made up that special lovely rhyme for me. I need Vizzini. But Vizzini is dead. And then Inigo was up again, blazing about the kitchen, and for the first time his fingers were snapping with excitement. I don't need Vizzini. I need his master. I need the man in black. Look, he bested me with steel, my greatness. He bested you with strength, yours. He must have outplanned and outthought Vizzini, and he will tell me how to break through the castle and kill the 6-fingered beast. If you have the least notion where the man in black is at this moment, relate quickly the answer. He sails the 7 seas with the dread pirate Roberts. Why would he do a thing like that? Because he is a sailor for the dread pirate Roberts. A sailor? A common sailor? A common ordinary seaman beats the great Inigo Montoya with the sword? Inconceivable. He must be the dread pirate Roberts, otherwise it makes no sense. In any event, he is sailing far away. Count Rugen says so, and the prince himself gave the order. The prince wants no pirates around. What with all the trouble he is having with Gilder? Remember, they kidnapped the princess once. They might try again. Physique, we kidnapped the princess once. You never were strong on memory, but even you should recall that we put the Gilder uniform pieces under the princess's saddle. Vizzini did it because he was under orders to do it. Someone wanted Gilder to look guilty, and who but a noble would want that, and what noble more than the war-loving prince himself? We never knew who hired Vizzini. I guess Humperdinck. And as for the Count, word on the man in black's whereabouts, since the Count is the same man who slaughtered my father, we can rest assured that he is certainly a terrific fellow. He started for the door. Come, we have much to do. Physique followed him through the darkened streets of the thieves' quarters. You'll explain things to me as we go. Go along, Physique asked. I'll exclaim them all now. His blade-like body knifed on through the quiet streets. Physique hurried alongside. A. I need to reach Count Rugen to at last avenge my father. B. I cannot plan on how to reach Count Rugen. C. Vizzini could have planned it for me, but C. Prime. Vizzini is unavailable. However, D. The man in black outplanned Vizzini, so therefore E. The man in black can get me to Count Rugen. But I told you, Prince Humperdinck, after he captured him, gave orders for all to hear that the man in black was to be returned safely to his ship. Everyone in Florin knows that to be so. A. Prince Humperdinck had some plans to kill his fiancée and hired us to carry them out. But B, the Man in Black ruined Prince Humperdinck's plans. However, eventually, C, Prince Humperdinck managed to capture the Man in Black, and as everybody in all Florence City knows, Prince Humperdinck has a terrible temper. Is that right? Wait. Make sure this is... Yeah. So therefore, D, if the man has a terrible temper, what could be more fun than losing it against the very fellow who spoiled your plans to kill your fiancée? They had reached the thieves' quarters wall now. Inigo jumped on Physique's shoulders, and Physique started to climb. Conclusion 1. Inigo continued, not missing a beat. Since the prince is in Florence City, taking out his temper on the Man in Black, the Man in Black must be in Florence City. Conclusion 2. The Man in Black must not be too happy with his present situation. Conclusion 3. I am in Florence City and I need a planner to avenge my father while he is in Florence City, and need a rescuer to salvage my future. And when people have equal needs of each other, conclusion 4 and final, deals are made. Physique reached the top of the wall and started carefully climbing down the other side. I understand everything, he said. You understand nothing, but it really doesn't matter, since what you mean is you're glad to see me, just as I'm glad to see you, because no more loneliness. That's what I mean, said Physique. Okay, let's see. It was dusk when they began their search blindly through all of Florence City. Dusk a day before the wedding, Count Rugen was about to begin his nightly experiments. At that dusk, gathering up his notebooks from his room, filled with all his jottings, 5 levels underground behind high castle walls, locked and chained and silent, Wesley waited beside the machine. In a way, he still looked like Wesley, except, of course, that he had been broken. 20 years of his life had been sucked away. 20 were left. Pain was anticipation. Soon the Count would come again. Against any wishes he had left, Wesley went on crying. Okay, I think that's all we have time for right now. If you like this content, or what you've been reading rather, from William Goldman's The Princess Bride, a hot fairy tale. If you like this content, then make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell so you know when I upload. Also, going to support me anyway. Or if you want to join the Discord server, all the information will be in the description below. As always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.